The Pentagon has identified 4 U.S. soldiers killed in action since the conflict with Iran began this weekend. One of those soldiers is from Bellevue, Nebraska, and a second from Des Moines, Iowa. 42-year-old Sergeant First Class Noah Tietjens is from Bellevue. 20-year-old Sergeant Declan Cody is from Des Moines. Cody received a posthumous promotion to sergeant. Both were members of the Army Reserves. Now, the Pentagon says they, along with 2 other Army Reserve soldiers from Minnesota and Florida, were killed by a drone that struck where the bases where they were at in Kuwait March 1st. All 4 soldiers were members of the 103rd Sustainment Command, which is based in Des Moines. The Pentagon says a total of 6 U.S. service members have been killed in action so far. The Pentagon has not yet identified the other 2 soldiers who lost their life. Nebraska Congressman Mike Flood reacting to the news tonight, saying, quote, "The news of Sergeant Noah Tietjens' death is heartbreaking. It is a sobering reminder that our troops are putting their lives on the line as America tries to stop Iran from becoming a nuclear power. Our prayers are with the Tietjens family as we all grieve Sergeant Tietjens' loss and honor his service to our country." Iowa Congressman Randy Feenstra also reacting tonight, saying, "I want to share my deepest condolences to the family and loved ones of the 4 service members who lost their lives in an Iranian drone strike in Kuwait, including Army Reserve Sergeant Declan Cody of West Des Moines. Our nation mourns their loss and is resolved to end Iran's hostile acts of terror." Of course, for more statements and information from other leaders, you can visit the story online at ktiv.com.